bluffing a little bit. I was bluffing at the time because I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how long it was going to take. And I didn't know how hard it was going to be. But I knew I refused to stay where I was and be limited. So I started speaking about where I was going, so that there would be buy-in to the vision, so that when the sacrificial moments came, we would have a commitment to the sacrifice that is necessary for the evolution that it takes to shatter glass ceilings, to tear down barriers, to break through walls, and to become that thing that I was born and created to be. Now understand me real good. What they call you isn't your destiny, it's just how they met you. And don't allow what people call you to incarcerate you in the prison of how they define you. She's a hairdresser. He's an accountant. She's an architect. That's a job description. But that's not all that I am. All that you are is all that is within you. And it may be more than one thing. It may be 5 things. It may be 6 things. And you must have the freedom to break the bondage of being a slave to how other people expect you to show up in the world. You have to show up in the world as you are on your inside, not as you are in your bank account, because you may not have it right now, but that doesn't mean you don't walk like it right now. That doesn't mean you don't talk like it right now. That doesn't mean that you don't think like it right now. That doesn't mean that you don't go to the places where people are about what you are about. You don't have time to convince the naysayers or argue with the detractors or get even with the people who are doubting your ability to evolve. You have to put too much energy into stepping into your next, and you have to step into it without losing your now. Because you are here right now, you're maintaining where you are, but you are learning the language that takes you in the room, so that when the door opens up, you're ready. It's a terrible thing when a door opens and it catches you ill-prepared. It's a terrible thing to be faced with an opportunity and walk into a room and get somebody's attention, because busy people don't spend long. If you don't hurry up and articulate what you want in a language that makes sense, not just to you, but to them, they're going to move on to the next person. So when the door opens for you, don't drop the mic. You've got to have the language that is necessary to drive home the things that are important to you. And hopefully you've done enough research on them that there is some congruency between what is important to them and what is important to you, because those are the 2 touch points. What is important to them and what is important to you becomes the pipeline through which dreams become reality. Listen, my friend, I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk to you, because I understand how vitally important it is that we continue to communicate with the widest spectrum of thought available. I never will forget, several years ago, I made a statement unwittingly and unknowingly, and it really didn't reflect my heart, but I was sending out a tweet about us digging wells in Kenya for indigenous people that didn't have any water, and I made the mistake of using the term native, and I quickly found out for the next day and a half that that was an insulting term for the audience I had. What happened to me was I had a bigger audience than I had expansion of thought to be able to communicate. I apologized profusely, showed them it was not my heart, and used it as a learning experience, but I didn't stop talking just because I got attacked. Get over it. Get over it. Go home and soak in Epsom salt and get over it, because you've got a world to change, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to say the wrong thing, and open mouth, insert foot. You're going to do that from time to time, but that doesn't mean that you back away from the conversation and go back into your silos and just hang out with people who get you and understand you. Do the hard work of forging ahead into new horizons and new possibilities. There has never been another time in history that you could, from your telephone, reach all the way around the world. All of us are producing content, whether we realize it or not. And that content is being consumed not just by the people that you imagine, but unimaginable people, genders, groups and classes, associates of intellectuals and illiterate people are all sitting down at the table. And the comments coming back at you are a reflection of the wide array of people that are exposed to what you have to say. And you cannot be sensitive and successful. So if you're going to be sensitive, give up on being successful. Because if you're going to be successful, you're going to be attacked, because you're going to be noticed, and because you're going to have a learning curve, and because you're going to have to grow into the opportunities to which you have been exposed to. This kind of mentorship that we're talking about today, the kind of mentorship that I offer through my leadership, the kind of mentorship that is afforded to us by Grant Cardone, this is a huge opportunity to get out of the boat, so to speak, and to walk on the waters of possibility and evolve from one dimension to the next, and to risk the perils of the winds and waves by understanding that you're in a place of uncertainty. But that uncertainty is expansion. There can be no expansion if you must have security. There is going to be a moment of vulnerability where you are neither quite here nor there. There's going to be a moment of vulnerability where you're not certain of yourself. And there's going to be moments of vulnerability where it's okay to say, I didn't get that right. I need to fix that. How should I have said that? To enter into the place of conversation with a question is never a bad thing. A question opens up a door for you to have an experience, to have an education that informs you, that prepares you, that equips you, so that you will know how to enter into that door with an aptitude and a fervency and a fire that you would not have otherwise. I'm excited. I know you can hear it in my voice. I'm excited because I feel like something is about to happen. If you are stuck on the screen and you can't move away from it, I'm feeding something inside of you, something that is about to be birthed, that is about to emerge, something that unearths you from your norm, something that decentralizes you, and it may be destabilizing, and for a moment or time, it may be disruptive. I'm writing a book now called Disruptive Thinking. It may be disruptive. It's okay to be disrupted. If you're at the end of the disruption, you're going to see the progress and growth that you want to see. You can't just play it safe and stay on the boat and have an encounter like you need to have in order to evolve, and your family and your friends and your children need to see you step off of the secure place into the wavery, fluctuating place of uncertainty and see how do you handle a storm. One of the things that's going on with our children today, they've had such security that they don't know how to handle a storm. And it may be that we haven't modeled to them what it means to get off the boat and get out into the water and do something that you have never done before. Listen, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always be where you've always been. I want to spend the last few minutes talking to you. The late Larry King said, I have never learned anything while I was talking. I have never learned anything while I was doing the talking. So great communication is dependent and predicated on great listening. If you listen at people talk who are hearing impaired, their speech is slurred because they don't hear well. If that's true in the natural, that's also true in other aspects of our lives. For example, if you are not a great listener,